Magandang araw po! Ngayon, magsosolve tayo ng mga real-life problems involving functions. Okay. Since alam nyo na po ang steps and strategies in solving real-life problems involving functions. Let's proceed. Example number 1. Mark rides a jeepney to go to the market, which is 10 kilometers away from his house. The fare rate is 6 pesos for the first 4 kilometer and an additional of 2 pesos for every kilometer or a fraction of it thereafter. What mathematical model can be drawn out from a given situation? How much Mark will pay for his fare? Okay. Kung makikita nyo, yung problem na present ko number 1 ay may kulay. Okay. Kasi ito ay isang example ng piecewise function. There are 2 conditions. Yung kulay blue, that's the first condition, at yung kulay pula, that's the second condition. Ang first condition ay ang rate ng first 4 kilometer ay 6 pesos. Pero, pag lumampas daw sa 4 kilometers, may additional na 2 pesos. Sabi dito, for every kilometer. So, yun. Now, following the steps, okay, ang step 1 natin ay, you will represent the independent variable or the input or the domain, then the dependent variable. Okay. Our independent variable referring to the distance na trinabel ng jeepney. So, our variable is x and our dependent variable ay yung total amount or total fare. Yung pamasahe ni Mark represented by y or f of x because we are referring to function. So, better we will use this functional notation f of x. Ang second step natin ay magpo-formulate na tayo ng equation. It's a piecewise function. So, ang first equation na i-formulate natin ay yung kulay blue kanina. Yung, sabi doon, 6 pesos ang first 4 kilometer. So, the condition of the domain is first 4 kilometer, meaning x is less than or equal to 4. Hindi naman pwede, hindi na natin kunin ang negative. Okay? So yun, nakita nyo? F of x equals 6 pesos and the condition ay if x is less than or equal to 4 but greater than 0. Nilagay ko ang 0 though kahit hindi na natin ilagay, alam nyo na walang distance na negative. So kahit wala na itong equal is greater than 0. Automatic x is less than or equal to 4 because there is already the word distance. Okay? Then the second condition, yung kulay pula. Sabi doon, there is an additional of 2 pesos for every kilometer na lumampas sa 4. Okay? So, 6 pesos plus 2 pesos times yung sobra sa 4 kilometer. Halimbawa, 5. 5 minus 4. Halimbawa, ang na-travel ng jeepney ay 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. That is why ito yung ginawa natin. If x, the number of kilometer, is greater than 4. So, ito na yung model. Ito na yung piecewise function. Okay? Next step is, we are going to solve. Yung second requirement is, yung amount na babayaran ni Mark sa jeep. Okay. We use the formula or the equation, this one. But then, we need to evaluate at x equals 10 kasi ang na-travel ng jeep ay 10 kilometers. From his house to the market, the distance is 10 kilometers. So ito yung i-evaluate natin. Okay. Dito sa piecewise function, alin dito sa dalawang function ang gagamitin natin. Since ang number of kilometer ay 10, na bibilong sa second domain, which is x is greater than 4, so ito ang gagamitin natin na 6 plus 2 times quantity of x minus 4. So, kukopyahin natin, f of x equals 6 plus 2 times the quantity of x minus 4. Then substitute at x equals 10. So f of 10 equals 6 plus 2 times the quantity of 10 minus 4 is 6. Multiply first. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 6 is 18 pesos. Yung pamasahe ni Mark from his house to the market sa jeep. Malinaw na? Okay, let's proceed. Example number 2. Suppose Mario is charged 340 pesos monthly for a particular mobile plan, which includes 200 free text messages. Messages in excess of 200 is charged 1 peso each. What mathematical model can be drawn out from a given situation? And how much Mario will pay for a month if he consumes 450 messages? Kung makikita nyo, yung first sentence ay kulay blue. Yung second sentence ay kulay pink or red. Ito yung basihan ng dalawang equation. Okay? Itong what is mathematical, yan ang equation na i-form natin or functional or a function. Then, itong how much Mario, yan ang another na requirement na isosolve natin. Okay, take note, ang monthly na charge kay Mario ay 340 na may free na 200 messages. Kung lumampas sa 200, may charge na 1 peso. Okay, tingnan natin. First step natin ay you are going to represent, first step natin is you are going to represent the input. Ang input natin ay number of messages represented by X. Okay? Ang output natin ay the amount na babayaran niya at the end of the month represented by Y. Ang IV natin is independent variable. That's the input or the element of the domain. Ang DV natin ay dependent variable, the amount represented by Y. And let's proceed to step 2, formulation of the equation. This is the mathematical model. Ang basehan natin yung kulay blue. 340 kung ang x ay less than or equal to 200 but greater than 0. Then yung pula naman, okay, 340, if x is less than or equal to 200 messages but greater than 0 messages. Okay, yung pangalawang sentence sabi, pag lumampas sa 200, may bayad na peso kada message. So ang gagawin mo, ang magiging formula natin ay 340 pesos plus 1 peso for every lampas sa 200. Alam ba, 201, kaya we have here x minus 200. 201 minus 200 is 1. So 1 message times 1 is 1 peso plus 340 is 341. Ganon yon. So ito yung domain natin if x is greater than 200. So this is now the mathematical model or the equation. Ano yung step 3? You're going to solve. What is the second requirement? Yung charge kay Mark at the end of the month. Sabi doon, kung gumastos siya or nakakonsumo siya ng 450 messages, magkano ang babayaran niya? Okay? So therefore, itong kulay pink ang kukunin natin na equation and condition. As our step 3, we need to evaluate at x equals 450 kasi 450 messages ang nagamit ni Mario. So, ang reference natin ay itong 240 plus 1 times the quantity of x minus 200. We substitute f of 450 equals 340 pesos plus 1 peso for every excess of 200. 450 minus 200 is 250 plus 340 is 590 pesos yung babayaran ni Mario at the end of the month. Malinaw? Very good. Tingnan daw natin another example. A piece of chocolate bar costs 20 pesos. However, if you buy more than 5 pieces, they will mark down to a price of 15 pesos. O sayang pa, ng discount na 5 pesos per piece. Use a piecewise function to represent the cost in terms of the number of chocolate bars, both. Then another question is, how much it will cost if you bought a dozen of chocolate bars? Pag sinabing dozen, 12 pieces of chocolate. Okay. Now, take note, nilagyan ko na ng blue. Kasi yan ang first condition. Yan ang first function na gagamitin mo. At itong kulay pula, dyan ka kukuha ng second function. Dyan ka kukuha ng second condition. Now, ang first step natin ay i-represent mo ang input mo ng variable x at ang output ng variable y kasi function tayo. Of course, ang input mo dito ay the number of chocolate bars. Number of chocolate bars. Then yung amount ng chocolate, yun ang variable y or the output. O, madali lang baga. O, tingnan nyo. Paano naman yung equation? F of x. Kasi nga, function tayo. Kahit hindi ka maggamit ng y. Pwede man, y equals 20 pesos if x is what? Less than or equal to 5 but greater than 0. Kasi nga, if you buy more than 5, meaning, hanggang 5 pieces, 20 pesos ang price. O, yun na. Tapos, second naman na function. 15. Okay, 15. Yeah. 15 if yung x is greater than 5. Okay? 15x. Ito naman 20x times the number of pieces of chocolate bar. Oh, tingnan nyo. This is our first step. The input or x, the number of chocolate. The output or y, the cost of chocolate. Step 2 is the equation. F of x equals 20x. Nga times ito. Bakit times ito? Kasi per piece, halimbawa, apple. Ang isang piraso ng apple ay 5 pesos. Bumili ka ng tatlo. So, i-multiply mo sa 3. That is why we have here 20x. Ang x natin ay number of chocolate. Ang 20 ay yung price ng chocolate. If the number of chocolate is 5 or less but greater than 0 at 20. Pero kung more than 5, if x is greater than 5, the price of chocolate is 15 per piece. Itong x, that's the number of chocolate. So, step 3, another requirement is, sabi doon, magkano ang isang dosenang chocolate? The cost of a dozen of chocolate, this is the formula. So, therefore, you need to evaluate at x equals 12. 12 pieces for 1 dozen. So, ang 12 dito sa pula na condition. Ang kukunin natin itong 15x. So, therefore, f of x equals 15x. Then, we substitute f of 12 equals 15 times 12. 15 times 12 is 180 pesos. That's the cost of 1 dozen of chocolate bars. Okay, another. The cost of hiring a catering service to cater food for a party is 200 per head. Okay, 250 per head for a maximum of 50 person. Ibig sabihin, pag isa lang ang dumalaw, 250 pa rin. Pag 40 ang umattend, 250 pa rin bawat person. Pag 50 ang umattend, 250 pa rin bawat person. So, yung kulay blue na yan, that's one condition. Another condition is 200 pesos per head for 51 to 200 to 100 persons. Kung 99 person, 200 per head. Kung 51, 200 per head. And another is 150 per head for more than 100. Halimbawa, 1,000 ang nag-attend, 150 per head ang computation. Now, the requirement, piecewise function, and then how much it will cost to pay for a caterer if there are 52 attendees. First step natin ay to represent the input. Ang input natin ay number of persons represented by X. Ang output natin ay the amount that you are going to pay to the caterer. Okay? Represented by Y. Tingnan nyo. The total cost na ibibigay sa caterer represented by Y. Our equation here, we have 3 because there are 3 conditions. 250 pesos per person kung 50 or less but greater than 0. 200 pesos per person kung from 51 to 100. May equal po ha? Kasi kasama ang 51, kasama ang 100. 150 pesos each per person if greater than 100 ang number of attendees. Okay. Another requirement there is how much is 52 attendees. So you are going to evaluate. So ang basihan dito, ang 52, itong nasa gitnang equation ang kukunin natin, itong 200x. So we need to evaluate at x equals 52. F of x equals 200x. So f of 52 equals 200 times 52. 200 times 52 ay 10,400 pesos. That's the total cost for 52 persons. Okay, next. Last, you are planning to work on summer. The minimum wage is 30 pesos per hour for 40 hours or less. The wage in excess of 40 hours is charged 45 pesos per hour. Okay, kung nakatrabaho ka ng isang oras hanggang 40 hours, 30 pesos ang bayad nun per hour. Pero pag lumampas ka sa 40, ang bayad per hour ay 45. Okay, sabi dito, how much will you get paid if you work 45 hours in a week? So first step, i-represent mo yung domain or yung independent variable mo. Represented by X, of course, the number of hours. Ang Y, the amount. Okay? Or the salary na makukuha ng nagtrabaho. That's Y. And the equation is 30x. 30 pesos per hour. Ang X is referring to number of hours. If less than or equal to 40 hours but greater than 0. 30 pesos hanggang 40 hours lang. Kaya 30 times 40, pag lumampas sa 40 hours daw, ang bayad na ay 45 pesos per hour. Kaya meron tayong plus 45 in the excess of 40 hours. 41 minus 40 is 1 hour ang excess sa 40. That is why this is the equation that we need. If X is greater than 40, ano nga ang X? The number of hours. Okay. From the problem, total amount salary in 1 week na nagkonsumo ng 45 hours. Ito ang gagamitin natin na kulay pula. You need to evaluate at X equals 45. So F of X equals 30 times 40 plus 45 of X minus 40. Then substitute. F of 45 equals 30 times 40 is 1,200 pesos for 40 hours plus 45 times 5 kasi 5 hours ang excess, 45 per hour. So 45 times 5 is 225 plus 1,200 is equal to 1,425 pesos. Yan ang salary niya in 1 week. Okay? So, thank you. and good morning.